many years in the playoffs. How important is the role of guys like Tucker and Dominic Toninato doing what they did yesterday, scoring big goals when they're not normally the guys that do that?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's how you have to win. I think you got to have depth, and you got to feel, you got to have. You're not going to win if you're top. Sometimes you might win a series, you might win a couple games, your top guys, but you need those other guys to step in and helps take the pressure off the other guys. And obviously, yesterday, I think, like you said, yeah, those two guys both had big goals. Especially Pooley's goal was, maybe 1 or 2 minutes kind of after they scored, so really kind of got us back into it. And then, yeah, I think he saves for playoffs sometimes. You don't score in the regular season, but you save for playoffs. That's when it matters. But it's stuff like that. Different guys step up every night, and you need that. And you need that just because it's a grind. It's tough out there. It's tough to score goals, and any guys that can chip in, I think it goes a long way.
We'll go next to Jeff Hamilton from the Winnipeg Free Press. Go ahead, Jeff.
Thanks, Gregor. This is for Paul as well. Paul, is last night's game, and I don't want to call it boring because it wasn't boring, but it was boring compared to the high octane offense that both clubs are capable of. And I'm wondering if that's kind of the style you need to play against a team like Edmonton, and if you guys are comfortable playing that style.
Yeah, I mean, we got to be comfortable. I think but that's also like playoff hockey too. I think it's the refs kind of put the whistle away a little bit, so there's a little more obstruction. There's a little more guys getting in the way, holding on, getting away with things a little bit. And I think it comes this time of year. At the same time, I think, yeah, I mean, is it boring? Maybe sometimes, but sometimes you got to look at what's the best chance for your team to win. And sometimes you got to make adjustments based on who you're playing against. And you got to be patient, right? More than anything, I think we got to be patient with our game. And you're not going to win the game in the first minute or lose the game in the first minute. And, sometimes when you play these playoff series, you try to stick a game plan over the course of, potentially 7 games. And, yesterday was a good example. It was a big win for us. Nice to get that first, playoff win. And now we just kind of tweak a few things that we feel we can be better at. And then the things that we're good at, we got to keep harping on those.
We'll go back to Jeff for a follow-up. Go ahead, Jeff.
Thanks, Gregor. Sorry, Paul, just another follow-up on that one. This team has been known in the past to kind of ride those emotional highs and lows, with goals that, against and goals for. It seemed like you guys were able to kind of weather that storm yesterday. I don't know if Tucker's goal helped, just the fact that it came close to after that goal that you guys allowed. But how did you feel your team kind of managed that, and how much of what you've gone through over the last month has helped kind of manage those highs and lows?
Yeah, I think both. I think, like you said, I think getting that goal from Pooley, I think was big. I think it loosened us up a little bit because I thought the first period played good, and then there's probably like a 6-7 minute window span there at the start of second where we kind of quit moving our feet. We're kind of watching each other and hoping for another guy to make play, kind of getting too separated. And, they hemmed us in for a little bit, and eventually they end up scoring that goal. But after Pooley's goal, I think we relaxed a little bit, and then I think what we went through the last whatever it was, month, 10 games, whatever, seems like forever ago. Yet, when you're playing now, you're just kind of worried about now. But I think like we talked about, I think Paul's always had a good message about, these bad times will kind of help shape us for the future. Like try to build on certain things and not get too focused, especially because we were in the playoff position, not get too focused on winning and losing and just trying to score goals. But let's try to focus on certain things that we're going to have to change our game, that we're going to have to do to be successful in playoffs. And, Paul obviously a good message. And after every game, even if we had a tough loss, you take out the positives and just showed us, parts of our game that was getting better. That's going to kind of show in the future, and parts of the game that we're going to have to switch come playoff time. And, we're doing that. And obviously we've constantly been doing that every day and after every game. And that's, part of good coaching.
We'll go next to Kelly Moore from 680 CGOB. Go ahead, Kelly.
Thank you, Gregor. Good afternoon, gentlemen. This first one is for Tucker. Just wondering if you thought at all after the game last night, after you kind of wound down a bit, you go through an entire season without scoring a goal, and you had some chances during the regular season, and yet the playoffs in the first game, you finally get that first one. Were you thinking of the irony of that at all?
Yeah, sure. Maybe a little bit. During the year, had some fun. Some guys were just telling me save them up for important time. I think JMO during the year, I had a couple chances, and he was like, "Oh, just save him for a good time." And kind of funny how that worked out. But yeah, it's a little ironic.
I'll go back to Kelly Moore for a follow-up. Go ahead, Kelly.
And Tucker, I don't know how many big goals you scored for UND, but when did you score a goal that was as comparable in terms of importance as the one last night?
Try to rack my brain here for you. I don't know. I think I had one in college during a playoff game. I can't tell you which game it was, but it was during our playoff run my sophomore year. That'd be the last one I can think of.
We'll go next to Paul Friesen from the Winnipeg Sun. Go ahead, Paul.
Thanks, Gregor. This is for Paul. It was a few weeks ago now, after that 6-1 loss at home to Edmonton, that you came out and said you had been getting away with some cheat in your game as a team, and you needed to be more honest with yourselves. What do you think that message did for the team, and has that really changed since then?
I don't know. You'd have to ask the guys. I don't think, I think I was just kind of blunt about what everyone else was thinking, and sometimes it just had to be said. I think we had, whether it was internal meetings or coaches meetings about it. And I think more than anything, we're holding each other more accountable on the bench. We're talking more to each other, and not in like a negative way. We're trying to help each other out, trying to communicate more. And especially when you're playing without fans, you can, the emotions aren't there as much. So sometimes when things go bad, things go good, you get excited for a second and you forget about it. But I think we've been good the last, whatever it is, 5, 6, 7 games of kind of just being alive on the bench, trying to support each other, trying to talk to each other, whether it's picking up a back checker, whether it's, a guy, getting in the lane for a block shot, stuff like that makes it's little things like that go a long way, whether you're a top guy or you're playing the bottom, the bottom line, it doesn't matter. I think when you're part of the team, it makes you feel important. And I think just kind of builds your confidence. And we've done a good job of staying together, obviously through the tough stretch we went through, but also now like trying to be, the more you communicate, the more you play together as a team, the more you're bought in all together. And I think we got a good group of guys that, we want to do whatever it takes to win. And we don't care if the top line scoring all the goals or if, our backup goalies win the games. It doesn't matter. I think we're all in it together, and you can really see it inside the locker room.
Go next to Carter Brooks from Game On. Go ahead, Carter.
Hi, Paul. Is it difficult playing in a game where there's only one penalty taken and you don't get a power play out of it? Is there a time when you might realize maybe the ref's just not going to call one at this point and you won't get a power play opportunity?
Yeah. No. I mean, sometimes it's easy because you can just roll the line so everyone kind of gets involved in it. But then there's going to be, we've seen this. There's going to be games where one game is going to be a lot of power plays and a lot of games don't have a lot of power plays. And like I said, sometimes it's the refs don't want to put the game in their hands, right? So a lot of times you see the refs try to set the tone early in the game, knowing what's going to get called, what's not going to get called, unless it's an obvious call, and they just let you play. And as a 4 group, sometimes it's nice. No one's like, all right, we're rolling 4 lines, we're going with it. Maybe we'll short shift some guys if there's an offensive zone set up, but especially first game playoffs, to get everyone into it early in the game, early in the series, I think it's a positive.
Just a few more for the guys. We'll go next to Sarah Lesky from TSN. Go ahead, Sarah.
Thanks, Gregor. This question's for Paul. Just what's the focus for the group now going into game 2? I know that after the game, Paul spoke last night just about there are areas of your game, that the team's game, that he would like to still see obviously taken to another level. In your mind, what's the focus for game 2?
Yeah, it's just like we've done a good job kind of turning the page today. I think that's what you got to do in playoffs. I think you enjoy the wins, you get pissed off about losses, and next day you come to work and you realize what do you got to adjust or what you got to fix. And we expect them to come out harder, to be more aggressive, to take the puck to net more. And then there's certain things that we got to adjust in our game too. But I think it's more about the emotions. It's just one game. You want to get that first win, but we're in a good position here. We want to make it tough on against them, and we're kind of ready for anything and ready for everything. But at the same time, we want to play our style. I think sometimes you're up in a game or you're up in a series, and next game you kind of sit back and see what they're going to bring at you, and you send your heels a little bit. Where I think our focus is kind of, we want to be the first team basically to kind of dictate play and make them adjust to us. And that's our focus, instead of sitting back and kind of playing with that 1-0 lead in the series, because that's where it gets dangerous. So for us, it's kind of turn the page and, really focus on the things we can do to try to have another successful night.
And final question to Ken Weeb from Sportsnet. Go ahead, Weaver.
Thanks, Gregor. Question for Tucker. Speaking of emotion, I mean, can you describe what the season was like for you? Everything from dealing with COVID to scoring, your biggest goal of the year in the playoffs.
Yeah, long year. Seems long ago when I first came here getting COVID and then sitting out for a while. Yeah, it's just part of it. You deal with your ups and downs, and yeah, it's just part of it. But yeah, it felt good.
Thanks very much, guys.
Thanks.